Welcome to the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey, and with my co-host and brother Jake, we are here to bring you guidance, fresh ideas, and the tools to help you become an impactful engineer.
What was the context behind the conversation?
Yeah. Well, okay. In a one-on-one conversation that's the right time to have, to voice your grievances of, something going on in the workspace. You don't want to do it in a team setting where that negative energy can affect other people's moods and drive and, focus on their work, etc. You really just want to bring this up to your manager, your supervisor, whatever, in that one-on-one space, so you can come up with a plan of action to address it if it's something that's addressable, or you can diffuse the situation if it's something that needs to be, just talked about but not really taken action on.
Yeah, and then not have to diffuse everything else that you lit when you were grieving in front of, or addressing the grievance in front of everyone else.
Exactly.
You just solve it, and then it goes away, and then there's no more damage control.
Exactly. Yeah, and then the other thing is most engineering places, you're out in open spaces, and so you might think that you're talking directly to your team, voicing your opinions about something, but you don't know who's walking on the other side of the cube or walking around the corner, or in an office that's within earshot, etc. And if the wrong person hears that negativity, that could be real bad news.
Yeah. Well, because the whole point of you not being able to address it with the right people at the right time just is amplified by that, because they certainly don't.
Yeah, in the right way too, right? I mean, because you can address any topic with anyone if you speak to it correctly.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So I think the point is be aware and try to have some certain control over where you air these things that you're disappointed with or that you think could be better or whatever. And it's hard to do because you feel the most need to do it in the moment, right? Because your emotions are heightened.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you need a mechanism. You need a mechanism to save it for later.
Yeah. And another thing is in the most comfortable setting, right? Which is usually your peers, and that's not where you want to do it.
Right.
You don't want to bring up those grievances, spew that negativity to your peers, because that's just going to drag the team down. You should only quote unquote complain upward. So that's why it's important to go in those one-on-one settings with your manager, your director, depending on what level you are.
And it seems really non-logical to do it because it's the easiest to do it in the moment and with the people you're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. So you got to kind of fight against the normal feeling.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And word of advice for, any of the managers out there, never go down the chain. You do not want to complain and spew that negativity downward. That's really bad. That's the worst.
Because they need an open lane to spew up to you to help them solve. And they don't know what to do with what you got.
I know, exactly. Yeah, you can't be a manager and bringing all your problems to your direct reports. That's just going to breed a toxic atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, as a manager, you should be excellent at resolving these issues for other people and yourself. Mm-hmm. You should be the best at it.
Yes.
Yeah, and be teaching those below you.
Yeah.
This is an interesting conversation, because I think most people go through their career with just kind of saying whatever at whatever time feels the best, but they don't really, or I guess not the best, the easiest for them. If I don't say it now, I won't say it later, because I'll just have it drop off, or all these other things. So being a good manager is also part of letting those people know that your lane is open for those, and there's a mechanism at which to discuss them and resolve them, and it's well known, and they have confidence that it will be resolved one way or another, or addressed, or not, but explained to you sufficiently that you realize that this is not something to solve, it's something to manage, or something to live with, or something to take certain actions with. It should at least be aired and a way to be discussed.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to touch on the opposite, where, how do you respond if someone brings that negativity? First we can touch on if you are the manager and someone's coming up to you, you need to just listen if they're in that one-on-one space, right? Because that is their quote unquote safe space to bring their grievances, bring their concerns to you, and you need to be open no matter what it is. I mean, it could be ridiculous, but you need to listen, and then don't give them an immediate solution. Ask them, what do you think you should do to solve this problem, or what actions can you take to get around this, etc., and encourage them to answer their own grievances. And then you can have some dialogue back and forth and come to an appropriate action plan. But if you are a peer and you're getting those grievances or getting just those negative comments, you can just be direct and be like, hey, this is not the time and place for a conversation like this. I suggest you take it to so and so, like their manager or whatever. But we have a job to do. We need to focus.
Yeah, for sure. Just communicate. As the person bringing the issue to your manager, I would recommend framing it too and setting it up, because you can really easily get into a place where you're just kind of like complaining a bunch, So a pro move, that kind of lays it all out so that even the manager knows, like, oh, okay, this is something to actually take and dissect and figure out over the next couple of one-on-ones. What you do is just lay it out like, hey, like this is something I would say. I'd say, hey, I know that, bringing problems and issues and stuff like that, they can't be solved immediately. Even some of the problems or issues that I'm going to bring up could even be something that I just need to learn. And I just need to know like how it goes around here. And I understand that these things take time, and I do the last thing I want to do is come across as just being complaining and not a team player. I just want to do what is best for the whole team and the company. And I think that in itself is bringing these issues up to you. Can we talk about some things? And then you can help me figure out what is the best course of action after we discuss them.
Yeah,
kind of just lay it out like that,
Yeah.
Goes a long way.
Absolutely. And I would even add to that is you can bring a couple possible options that you've thought about. Like, hey, option A could be this, but I'm not quite sure if that would solve the issue. Option B might be a little more extreme, but I don't want to overstep my bounds going that way. What do you think? I can maybe a combination of the two, or et cetera, et cetera. Like bring some solutions to the topic at hand. And that's just going to show that you're actively trying to solve the challenge that's in front of you, not just being there bitching and complaining.
Right. Yep. And if they're a manager that's fatigued from people just laying their shit on them, that's going to be a breath of fresh air for them.
Yeah.
And then you're going to take what they have to say and actually take action on it, which will make it even more likely that they help you and are willing to help you and are able to help you.
Yeah. And kind of going back to, the topic of being negative in open spaces. I mean, that's a recipe of infecting your team with that negative energy and bringing that focus down, bringing the high performance of the whole team down. And if you are consistently doing that, you're essentially putting a target on your back, because organizations cannot afford to have what they normally call a cancer on the team, just infecting everyone. That's like one of the fastest exits you'll get if you're doing that.
Yep. And you can even not be negative and still be costing the company just as much, because I mean, this is one of the things that I used to do all the time. I've never been like a super negative complainer type, but I've been an over explain and scenario based, like driven conversations to get my point across. And while I'm not being super negative, I'm just totally overdoing it. And that's just time not working. That's time people have to listen to you. That's just, you're doing everything except for solving the actual thing. And so not only are you not working and not improving, you're stealing time from other people. So it just, if there was one point in the whole episode or what we're talking about right now, is that there's a time and a place, and just figure that out. And most likely it's with your manager. And if you do too much of it, there's always going to be peer-to-peer talking and like, but just wrap it up real quick. Like, oh, I hear you. Have you brought that up with your manager? No, it's not something I really want to bring up. I just thought it was okay, but consider there might be something there for you to resolve. But yeah, man, hate it when that happens too. I'm gonna get back to focused work though right now.
Yeah. Just try to diffuse it as fast as possible.
Yeah. Yep. And it feels really good, right? It feels really good to hang out with the crew and in the office and talk about those kinds of things, but just kind of manage where it's going.
Yeah, something I've heard multiple times and I find to be true is if you have one person, and this kind of goes back to that infectious side of things, if you have one person being extremely negative and carrying on those negative conversations consistently, it gets other people in the same mindset, right? They'll start, because it's so prevalent, they'll start being more negative in
especially new people,
their view. Yeah. Oh yeah. New people, it's even worse. Are unseasoned.
They're trying to fit in.
Absolutely. Yeah. So they're trying to fit in the culture, and they think that culture is in this space, and it's not true. And that's why I say that you're going to have a target on your back if you are known as someone who's just constantly negative.
Yeah. What if you produce really well, Steve, and you're driving revenue and you're always profitable and everybody comes to you for questions and you're still being that person?
That is an interesting question because I've seen it both ways. A high performance organization, the one that is going to strive on culture and building strong teams, it doesn't matter. They're going to exit you. The companies that have not strong leadership and have a weaker culture will say the things like, well, they produce so well. Oh, we can't afford to lose them, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's going to be the conversation. Yep. And so if you are working somewhere and you see that from, like a third party view, keep that in mind. But a high performance organization is going to exit that person regardless of their output if they are infecting the rest of the team, because the whole entire organization's output is going to be low.
Yeah, it's greater than the sum of its parts. Like
exactly.
They're going to know that the whole team dynamic is worth more than a single hero person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been in both situations too, where the hero was maintained even though they were quite the toxic personality, just in a workplace type of team. Okay, Not a bad person, just it wasn't conducive to growth and positive team dynamics, and there was always conversations going on around about this person, and it's just like, we don't need any of that. We need all that to be gone, and we need to be talking about how to win and be awesome, not talk about this person and how terrible they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though they produce so much, right? It's probably why that company stayed the size it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we are talking about, the topic of, if you're so negative, you might lose your job and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to discourage you from trying to solve problems with your manager. So I'm not discouraging, you to not bring up things that you have grievances with, Yeah. So you don't want to just bottle up everything inside and hold resentment the entire time. But there's a time and place for it is the point of this topic.
Yeah. And there's always problems to solve. And it's just about the frame. And if you go in and you just want to solve the issues that you think are holding the team back, and it gets nowhere, and their way of handling it is kind of just like trying to get you to forget about it or make you feel good in the moment, and then we'll just address it again later, and nothing moves, then you just take that as an input from the company you're working at. Like, am I okay with this? Am I okay with bringing things up and nothing never happens? Am I, or am I not okay with that? And then you just kind of, you keep moving, you keep observing, and you find out where it all fits, and then you can learn, what's keeping me in this position, and it's just one of the inputs, but don't let it drag you down or make you resentful or like turn you into one of those people that just complains all the time. Just take it as an input, it's okay. Yeah, I've been tracking this, and we've talked about 12 different topics, solved none of them, and it's been 2 years. Yeah, what are we doing here?
Yeah. So really, to summarize this topic, I mean, we don't need to go too crazy in it, is, there's a time and place and a person to bring up your grievances or issues that you're having in the workplace, don't be afraid to bring them up to the right person, but be aware of who you are speaking to and around, etc., and just solve the problems and move forward. Don't dwell on that negativity. It's really infectious.
Yeah, and it's just about everything. I guess everything we talk about is about putting yourself in the best position to win.
Yeah.
Right. And this is just another one of those things that helps get you in the right position to win.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. If you learned something today or think someone else needs to hear our point of view, please share the show. It's the best way we can grow the podcast and continue to create value and impact for the engineering community. And lastly, please leave a review that lets other people know who are blind to the show, just coming across it, that it is very helpful for you and will make an impact on them as well.
Yeah. Just puts us in the best spot to be visible. Even just clicking on the 5-star and not even leaving a text review or anything helps out tremendously, guys.
Cool.